This is Buddy Landell, and you're about to listen to Booking the Territory, the unprofessional wrestling podcast, so stop working yourself into a shoot, you numbnuts. This show is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Don't be a dumb ass and get offended by anything on this show. And if you do get offended, that's a you problem. Before I throw it to the fellas for another banger of an episode, shout out to all the BTT patrons, including the largest Patreon contributors of the show: Disrespectfully Classy, Mark E. Blassie, Mike Childry, Joe Ice, Good Old Justin, and Mike H. Now enjoy this Outlaw Mud Show podcast. Remember, if it don't snow, it don't go. And be blessed and be a blessing, pal.
Hi, everybody. This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, and you're listening to the Book in the Territory Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast.
This is the artist formerly known as Daryl Van Horn, James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister, and I'm here to let you know I would rather slam my cock in a car door than to miss the dulcet tones of Hardbody Harper, my illegitimate son, on Booking the Territory podcast.
Woo, Messi, this is professional wrestler Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man. Tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss Booking the Territory. Oh, yeah.
This is a one-man gang. You're listening to Booking the Territory Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the unprofessional wrestling podcast. For today, we are covering WCW Saturday Night on TBS from August the 21st. I almost said March for some strange reason. August the 21st, 1993. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button on the video. Type a comment or two with what you liked or didn't like about the episode. It definitely helps the channel grow. I appreciate all the comments we're getting there. Look, we're a small channel, but it definitely helps when you hit that thumbs up and make a couple of comments. Plus, Harper's not as salty, even though he's always salty. Speaking of Harper, we are recording on a day that is not our normal day and time. Doc can't make it on our normal day and time because he's got family stuff to do. And Harper has Mardi Gras this week in New Orleans and told us and the listeners to go get bent. No, that was his exact words when he said he couldn't make it. I was like, well, what about the show? He said, I don't give a shit. Screw him. Okay, Harper. So that's what, just peek behind the curtain, ladies and gentlemen, what we work through here sometimes. He said to go get bent, and he ain't doing it this week. He's going to be drunk in New Orleans, and so it's just Doc and I. So I apologize for your annoyance if that upsets you. Doc, let me welcome you in. I said a lot in the opening to get us going and lathered up, and everybody lathered up. How are you?
Well, I'd rather be at Mardi Gras than doing family shit, but other than that, I'm feeling pretty good. Now, a couple of questions. Will he be in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, or will he be in Metairie? What do you think?
Metairie, probably, knowing him.
Okay, because that's one of those things, you know, if you're a local in Las Vegas, you don't go to the Strip. If you're a local in New Orleans, you don't spend, unless you work there, you're not spending a lot of time down in the quarter. You know, that's for the tourists. I just wanted to clarify so people can, you know, Google Maps pin Harper for, you know, that day.
Yeah. I actually think he told me he definitely was going to be in Metairie.
Yeah, he's a Metairie boy, you know. It's all right. We'll make do without him. You know, I was going to say maybe he's still recovering from the stink of the Clash, where we couldn't get that off of us. Boy, that was something Ajax wouldn't wash off. Patrons know what we're talking. Patrons know what we're talking about. Oof, you know, that was pretty gross.
I got a question from that. Well, go ahead. You got a question first.
Okay. Yeah, I got a question for you. So, how would you say that the show changes when it's you and me versus having Harper in the booth? No, I mean, obviously, we're not going to get somebody popping up with Coyotes or Huckamania or whatever new words or
Crackle Barrel.
yeah,
Instead
that
of Cracker
latest
Barrel. Or
that latest gem of the English language. Yeah,
as Ryan Ashby told me on Twitter, a longtime listener and longtime patron this week or a couple weeks ago, Harper, I don't even know if we realized it at the time. Harper created a word instead of Hiroshima, it was Hirojima. I don't even remember that one, but I believe it.
I 100% believe it. There's no question he did it. I just probably didn't hear it. I mean, there's a lot going on in the show. And that's kind of what I'm talking about is how does the show change when it's just changed? I don't, it's always easier actually for me. As long as we can get Harper here, getting him here is difficult, but because this morning was easy, we just showed up on time and here we are. Getting Harper into the booth is difficult, but once he's here, the show is actually easier. How does the show change for you when Harper's not here?
It doesn't really. I mean, it changes. It's a different type of show because Harper, for somebody, let me tell you, this is another Harper thing that nobody realizes, but I think me and you. Harper does not have the ability of focus. There's random stuff that he'll start talking about something or we'll start talking about something and I'm sharing my screen. So he'll in the middle of a topic, it's like 180 go the other way. And that's how a Coyote discussion happens. But then sometimes it's, you ask him and he's paying attention. He's like, yeah, it was good. Anything else, Harper? No. What do you want me to say? He gets angry with you. I'm like, yeah. Well, the people, and here's the thing. We know everyone wants to hear his thoughts. So we try to pull them out of him. And sometimes he gets angry. Like I was editing one of the shows a few weeks ago and I'm like, Harper, what'd you think about that? It was great. Anything else, Harper? No, what do you want me to say, Mike? Jesus Christ, man. Why are you raking me over the coals? He didn't say those words. But
and you never know what you're going to get. Like every time I pass the ball, I don't know if he's going to shoot and score or throw it back at my head.
It's like a 50-50 probability.
It is. Like I pass him the ball and then cover up just in case. But this isn't necessarily about that. So, if you go back to the very, very beginning of this show, it was just you and me. And we weren't very good. We had to learn how to do this and we had to learn, get our voices. But the one thing I would say that we had from day one was good chemistry, just having like we're talking like we would if we were in the same room and the people were all here and we were all just having a conversation. So that part is just fine and easy when we do a show because it's always been there. We just don't have Harper to hijack the show with hilarity.
Pretty much, because he will hijack it.
Like we'll be talking and he'll be like, so, y'all see Roberta Flack died? What? Yeah, I did. But what has that got to do with Max Payne and Johnny B. Bad?
And then he gets angry.
I don't know. I was just thinking about it.
He gets angry. I think he does the show just to throw in stuff because this is the thing. We're talking, this show is an old school wrestling podcast, but he doesn't see it that way. He sees it as it might be about wrestling, but here's the example. When I talked about we were a top 10 Podbean podcast.
That really got him.
And he
needed a lot of details to back. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. All right. And he needed information.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was what happened after the fact. So on the show, he's like, bro, people downloading us talking about this dumb shit. I'm like, bro, you just know how to promote your own brand, brother. With that statement, that was the first thing that came to my mind, even though I wouldn't say it like that. It just, speaking of corporate speak, that was the first thing that came to my mind. But the next thing that came to my mind was, dude, you realize people first find the show because it's an old school wrestling podcast, and they listen to it because it's old school wrestling, and that's what they want. But here you are just burying the whole principle that even got the show going. Like, you mean they want to hear us talk about this dumb shit? And this is the thing, he's not working. He 10,000% meant it the way he said it. Am I lying?
My silence is agreement on this one.
So yeah, boy, we love it. We love having him. It's hilarious because the thing is, you never know what you're getting.
But I also think, and certainly flood Mike's inbox if you agree or disagree with this statement. I believe that the people tune into the show originally to hear about old school wrestling and the wrestling they love. They stay and become part of the army to continue that, but also hear the exploits and become part of the community. People are going to want to tune in and hear what Harper did at Mardi Gras. I mean, they become part of the community. So some of this is good because they need to know what cereal he's going to buy next at the discount place. And so they become part of the show.
I mean, I created a whole playlist on YouTube called Life Lessons with Hardbody Harper just because of his exploits and utter absurdity. And the funny part is a lot of what you see on YouTube is just what happened on the main free show. That there's more utter ridiculousness on Patreon from the time he got attacked by, and this is not a joke, a special person at a wrestling show that told him he was going to kill him. He literally got attacked. It's not a work. It was a special person that attacked him, to the Squirter episode. Jesus Christ. There is some stuff behind the paywall.
There's some stuff that before the light comes on that would just set the territory on fire.
Oh God. They'd put him in jail. Maybe. I mean, he wasn't committing crimes, but in today's sensitive society, you would, because let me be clear, there's nothing criminal involved, but in today's sensitive society, there would be things that you'd be like, if one of these people who are easily offended heard it, it'd be like, whoa, what's this guy's problem? Nothing illegal, to be clear.
Yeah.
Just insane.
So,
not something you and I would do or be involved in.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, we love Harper. He's a special treasure to us all. You and I we're talking just probably about a week ago. How much would all of us, this is me and you, and I know the people listening would agree with this. How much would we all pay to have video and audio of him just walking around during the day at work?
It'd be worth its weight in gold, man.
If he was just wearing like a GoPro or something with great sound, going from store to store, doing whatever it is he does, and just listening to his, like, there's two versions, how he interacts with the general public in his job. And then I would empty the vault, the entire fortune that I possess, to have a transcript of the inner monologue in his brain as this is all happening.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd empty the vault, but you could make a pretty penny. I've told him this a million times off air. I wish he would allow himself to be recorded when we're doing the show, because I know the mannerisms and have seen his face when you're hearing the audio when he does these ridiculous things and says some of the stuff he says. What you're not seeing is the facial expressions that go along with it. And I think he's missing out on a golden opportunity. But He doesn't agree, so we don't.
Banging the coat hanger against his leg.
That's just one of them. It's like,
I'm kidding,
but because you can't really see that, but that goes back to what we're saying. Like, when I never get the first time he was
you're
doing
on a
that.
podcast. Maybe don't do that.
I remember the first time he was doing it. You're like, what the fuck? You're like, what the hell is that clicking noise? And he's like,
I thought it was a pen.
My bad. I'm slapping the coat hanger up against my leg.
You're what?
Exactly what he said. Exactly what I said. But yeah, I'm with you, man. It can be a train wreck.
We don't have him here today, so we probably should stop talking about how great he is, so that people don't tune out since he's not here. Because we're still going to be pretty damn good. Because that's how we roll.
I have people that send messages to the show that get mad at me and you when we do a show without him. And my response, I never respond. Let me just be clear.
That's the right way to handle the troll.
But my thought is, if we just were like, okay, there's not going to be a show that week. That's the trade-off. So if you're okay with not having a show at all, which I know a lot of people aren't, because and then to toot our own horn and pat ourselves on the back like Barry Horowitz, we're almost at 10 years straight of one show a week. So we always get something out. But I'm like, well, we could just not do a show, and I know that's not going to make 95 to 98% of the listeners happy. So we do the show.
That sounds
and do
pretty
what we
good
do.
to me right now. I could still be, doing something else. So maybe that's what we need to do.
But we do miss Harper.
Thanks for all your helpful suggestions, people. That really sparked an idea that I have. Let's just stop.
That's not going to happen, but okay.
Let's just not do this anymore, since it causes so many people to have so many thoughts.
Well, we love 98% of the people who listen to this show.
I'd say it's closer to about 96.
Okay. We love 96% of the people who listen to this show. But there's the ridiculous idiots.
Maybe it's 4 or 5.
Who love to send in their, you shouldn't say that. You offended me. That's mean. You're wrong for that. I can't believe you went there. You need to tell
crazy
Harper
for
that
this
was
one, Rick.
insensitive.
Well, we're going to go ahead and do the show against all great counsel and suggestion that we should just not do it. We thought the show might come to an end in year 2 with the arrival of baby number 2 over here. But I would suggest that I'm busier right now than I've ever been.
That's true.
And we're still putting out shows. So I think if y'all would just relax and enjoy them, we'll be all right. We know how to do this thing now. That's what I'm saying is like, the whole premise of where I was going with this is that after almost 10 years, we're pretty dialed in on what it takes to get us all together, get the show out, do it in a pretty good manner, and have some fun while we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's have some fun. You and I have a big job tonight. We've got to dig ourselves out from the just rubble that was created at the last clash, where the Shockmaster made a mess on the floor.
Let me get the video version going, starting on that note, because what Doc just said was, if you only listen to the video version, is we have a mess to clean up because we discussed the Shockmaster at the clash. Doc, the discussion was, in my opinion, so good. I did clip that and put it on YouTube for listeners to
you're
check
more
out.
Generous than I am.
We talk. Okay, it was a 36-minute discussion because we broke it down. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
And I'll
there.
save everybody 35 and a half minutes. Harper and I's main premise was, what happens if he doesn't fall through the damn wall? It's still a disaster.
And then I'll just tease one thing to hopefully have all of you.
The falling through the wall is just the WCW presentation. Everything else was still an abortion.
And I'll just add a little teaser, and you can go to YouTube, our YouTube page, and check it out. we discussed the other particular was how small the eye holes were in the mask, and the fact that Uncle Fred Ottman had to take Jenny Ingles' pantyhose and put them over the eyes to stop glitter from getting in his eyes. So if you want to hear the rest of that discussion, go to YouTube. Just search Booking the Territory on YouTube and you'll find it there. I posted the clip because it was just too good of a discussion. Now, we talked about a lot of other stuff there, but that clash was just, boy.
That was a dark cloud hanging over it. Now, here's the crazy part, and it really highlights the schizophrenia that is WCW right now. As you look at the video version, you see Rick and Sting standing there. We're going to get that as a main event tonight. More on that as we get into it. But, you know, the name on the marquee says wrestling, and we're going to get some tonight. We're covering August 21st, 1993. They set it up last week, you know, where it was, hey, for Rick to get his shot to not tag in at the Clash and beat the Kongs, he had to give up something, and he decided to give Sting a title shot. I'm not sure that was a good trade. That's kind of like a Luka trade. But we are the winners tonight because we get to see that match.
So let me also add, you mentioned it. I was going to say this in a second, but they start the show with Rick and Sting on the, you know, talking about last Saturday night. And like you said, Rick giving Sting a shot at the title. I was listening to Scott Thompson, one of the Kongs, on Two Man Power Trip with John Paz recently. And
boy, there's a free plug. Jesus.
Well, I mean, Paz has always treated me well, so I'll treat him well.
Okay, well, hey, Paz, how's it going?
And Scott Thompson was talking about the Clash because that match was like 2 minutes long on the Clash. And he did say originally they were supposed to have like 7 or 8 minutes. He was only 23 years old at the time. And he's like, I don't know what happened politically behind the scenes, but it ended up being trimmed down to 2 minutes. And we basically went out there and got, you know, what we got, which was defeated very quickly by Flair and Sting. And he's like, I have no problem with it. He's like, but, you know, if anybody were to ask me what the heck happened, well, you know, there's the only explanation I can give. He also said something that I need to find out. I want to know something from him because he made it sound like they were in the tryout match with Harlem Heat. So that would mean that they would have been eyewitnesses. Well, Dwayne, his tag partner, is deceased now, but that would have mean they would have witnessed Harlem Heat coming out in, you know, the alleged chains that they came out in with Colonel Parker.
Sounds like we need to call Catherine White and get her on the case.
Yes.
Do some investigative journalism. She's free now because Cactus is back, so she's freed up for her next assignment.
Sure. All right.
Sure.
On that note, we're going to get into this. This episode was taped August 2nd, 1993. It appears to be the second half of the taping from that day, according to the history of WWE.com, which means it was taped prior to the Clash. We reviewed on Patreon at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. So if you're not a patron, please consider becoming one. You'll get tons of extra content. Really, really good stuff there. The show starts, like I said, with a quick recap of last Saturday night when Flair told Sting he'd give him a shot at the NWA title if they tagged up against the Kongs at the Clash. And then we head to the ring for Sid Vicious and Harlem Heat in some 6-man tag action with Colonel Robert Parker versus Ron Simmons, Too Cold Scorpio, and Marcus Alexander Bagwell here. I always forget, Doc, which one was Kane and Cole in terms of Harlem Heat. So let me just say this going forward, because this is their Saturday night debut. They've been on I believe WCW Pro at this point, but from a Saturday night perspective, this is the first time we've seen them. I'm just going to call them Booker and Stevie because that's who they are to me in terms of, you know, at their most famous in popularity, I guess I would say. And they are legitimately one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Let's just get that out the way now.
Hard to believe. Let's say this match probably has you going nuts because you got like 4 of the 6 dudes are brothers. So you're like, oh, this is what now we're doing it.
The irony of this, we got 4 brothers in there, and we got Colonel Parker looking like a plantation owner. Jesus Christ! What are we doing?
WCW.
And somebody's gonna say, "You didn't stop being woke, Mike." I'm not being woke. I'm just fucking making a statement. Jackasses.
Yeah, jackasses.
The fact is, there's 4 brothers in this match, and there's a dude
4 brothers
dressed like a plantation owner. Please tell me how that's not factual.
1, 2, 3, 4. I can count.
Anyway, Harlem Heat, one of my favorite tag teams of all time. Well, but here we are, 6-man action.
Booker T is Cole.
I know.
Just so you know, because I wrote that down.
Okay, I did too. My point is, as we move forward, I still get all confused on Kane and Cole, but I hear you.
When they were walking out, I was thinking like, because like Booker T or one of the two says something to the camera. I was like, man, what if they did the gangsters like kill Whitey? That would have set the territory on fire. Yeah,
I'm just glad we didn't do that in WCW in '93. I mean, that was I'm glad I'm glad they didn't go that route. They didn't need to if you think about it. They were good heels without doing that.
Well, couple of things. I've always liked the Harlem Heat, both guys. We talked not too long ago about how I appreciate Stevie Ray's the way he thinks about the business. Whenever he's on something that I've seen, I always am like, dude, I like the way he thinks about things and talks about it, and I feel like I'm learn a little bit when I hear him speak. Always liked Booker. Booker's great. He's just even the parts of Booker's career that don't seem like they would be. The King Booker stuff cracked me up beyond belief.
That showed his versatility. When he 100%. When he did that King Booker, it's just like he's got this mannerism. He's acting pinky. Like royalty with the pinky. To me, it just showed like his versatility as a professional wrestler. Because, you think about him as Booker T from Harlem Heat, or you think about him as a singles wrestler, Booker. And then you see him do King Booker. It's like, man, this guy, he's just good.
So what I'm about to say is not like, oh, I forgot how not just big, they're fucking tall. Like they're standing in there with Sid and they look gigantic.
Yeah, they're big dudes, man. They're athletes.
They are, man. They need to be presented impressively here. Now, I was not around here when they came in, so I don't know what's about to happen, but I hope that they get presented well. My assumption would be that they do, because by the time I got in a couple of years, they were up and rolling. So there you go.
I was trying to look up what Booker's build height is.
Well, he's got to be like 6'5".
Well, that's what I'm looking now. Wikipedia lists him at 6'3", but I can tell you this much. I was at one of the Wildcat shows.
Look, here we go. I was doing things in the business. Here comes the Mike Mills special.
No, I was at Wildcat.
Was Rod Price there?
No, it was a Wildcat show.
Oh, okay.
This is like 2012-ish, maybe 13. I don't know. 14.
Did you pay to get in?
No. It's Wildcat. I mean, you act like I didn't.
Well, you didn't wrestle there. Come on.
You act like I don't know the promoter.
Did you go to high school with him? Come on.
I didn't go to high school with him, but I've known him for 20 plus years. I mean, what do you want me to say? Anyway, what I was going to say was, before you rudely cut me off for some unknown reason, as you always do, I'm not the tallest human being, obviously. I'm only 5'9". Booker, I walked right, standing next to him. He looks taller than 6'3". I'll say that.
Okay.
And Stevie's taller than him, but they are big men. And when I say Booker, even if he's 6'3", you know how you stand next to people and they seem taller than they say they are, he looks taller than he says he is. So,
So Booker's got a little bit of the. Okay, so couple questions. He's still a little green, right?
Oh, they haven't been wrestling that long at this point.
He feels like the proverbial puppy with big paws. Like, he's super athletic, he's super big, but he's still kind of figuring out how to, like, he's not bad at all, and you can see the potential for sure. But he's a little awkward in the ring still. Goes away quickly, I would imagine, but we call it right down the middle. I'm just trying to do that for everybody.
Yeah,
because you'll get the whole message. Tell Doc that Booker T's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, they haven't been wrestling that long. I mean, they're only like, I think 1990. Well, 92 is when they're in Global, but like, yeah, they're like 1990, 1991. So I mean, like, they're 2 to 3 years in.
Okay. This is where I think you call me a racist.
Okay.
So does Booker kind of look like a roided out version of Bobby Brown in the face?
No. Jesus Christ.
I thought he kind of looked like Bobby Brown.
No. I've never thought that looking at this man.
Neither did I until this.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
He's still kind of got a baby face because he's not wrestling, but just he's younger. I thought he kind of looked like a big version of Bobby Brown. It's my prerogative. Let me do what I want to do.
He's like, just for the record, I believe he's like 28 years old here. Booker is.
Oh, okay.
But no, he does not look like Bobby Brown.
No, okay. Were you at all nervous that Jesse might say something inappropriate?
No, I never get nervous at what Jesse says that's inappropriate. I might get nervous at Harper's reaction to it because his purpose is well, no, Harper's purpose is when he hears something that Jesse says, he then leans into it to trigger a certain segment of the audience because he knows he's doing it. Like, he's just trolling, and he doesn't care if it's left, right, center. He's just going to say it to troll. That's what he does. Just like when he's on the People of Metairie Facebook group. And then he gets going, which you two are Beavis and Butthead. I've said this a million times. Y'all both start feeding off each other with the political commentary, knowing your purpose is to trigger anyone. It doesn't matter who. You're just trying to trigger people. And then the people come, and then that's when people come at me like I'm an enabler.
Here's how easy it is. Here's how easy it is. All I would have to do right now is say something like, I can't wait to vote in the next election.
Right. And you ain't saying who you're voting for, what you're voting for, or what election. It could be the local, amendments that are going on off cycle, and it just triggers somebody. All of a sudden, they've pinned you as whatever they in their mind have concocted you to be. But when you two are together, it becomes like you're on steroids with it.
All I'm doing is what you told me to do years ago, which is you said you need to learn that you're not the star here. So you need to learn how to set up the star. And that's all I try to do.
Okay.
You told me to shut up one time, and I'm just trying to listen.
So back to Harlem Heat and Sid versus Ron, Two Colt Scorpio and Bagwell. Any other questions for me about Harlem Heat and your thoughts?
No, I mean, welcome to the promotion. They've had kind of a weird entry in that we saw them at the Clash, but apparently they had been on one of the other shows. So just, they look good. Dude, they make Ron look short. They make Ron look kind of small, and that's tough to do.
Booker might be a little bit taller than Ron. And that's what you're seeing. Now, Ron is obviously, he's more muscular.
A mountain.
Yeah, Ron's a big man. But, I know here's the thing. I looked it up. They were on Worldwide prior to this 21st debut. They also were on Pro at one point. So they were on TV. Now, obviously, like you said, that's not the A show. And I know you're saying, who are these guys when they come out in the Clash? Because if you're watching, that's the first time, if that's all you've ever seen in Saturday Night, you hadn't seen them yet. But, give WCW credit. They came out with Sid at the Clash. They came out with Sid here. They win, although Sid is the one who gets the pin on Bagwell with the powerbomb. They do make them a big deal coming out with Sid just from that rub of a perspective. Like they're immediately somebody that, like, look at that shot right there when they're first coming out. That right there
impressive.
That makes them a big deal. I mean, they're out there with Sid. And give Sid credit. He's the one that found him. He's the one that wanted to bring him in. So yeah.
And we've said it. The people want to cheer for Sid.
Oh God. They want to cheer for Sid. Sid's so over, it's ridiculous. But yeah. All right, Doc. Like I said, Sid powerbombs Bagwell and gets the win for his team. Any other thoughts on it before we move on?
No, a good little match to start here. Certainly getting 6 guys in the ring. Not a huge fan of the 6-man, but we got 6 guys in there that we like.
We then go to the Equalizer versus Ron Preston. This is a really quick match. Doc, your thoughts? I know you don't like Equalizer, but go ahead.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
What did I miss?
The Equalizer.
No, I didn't miss him. Was he wrestling?
Yeah, he was here. Versus Ron Preston. So here's the part where, you were talking about Harper at the beginning of the show. If Harper was on the show today, this discussion about Equalizer versus Preston would either go 10 minutes or 1 minute. Because either it would trigger Harper so much that he would just go on a rant, or he would just be so disgusted, he would get mad at me and you for asking him questions about it.
And you never know until it happens.
You never know until then. But Equalizer wins with the full Nelson.
He engaged on Shockmaster, but we had the what happens if he just says, okay, that's awful.
Yeah. Yep.
So, no, I don't have any opinions here. He's so wild and crazy that he's got a balding mullet. So don't give me that. He's like, he kind of reminds me of, what's his name? God, I went blank. Bruiser Bedlam. Kind of that same sort of presentation, but not as good.
But by far not as good when you say that. I mean, not even close.
But I feel like that's what he's trying to pull off. I said trying.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. From there, Doc, we go to an ad for Fall Brawl, the pay-per-view, which is going to feature War Games. It is presented by, this is the first time we're seeing Chris Cruz on these ads and segments. Just real quick, because we'll talk about Fall Brawl as we get closer to it. You'll be able to listen to us discuss it on Patreon at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. The only place you can not only get Fall Brawl, but all 24 of the clashes we've done and all of our WCW pay-per-views dating back to 85, along with the JV Goon Squad shows, the ECW shows, NWA Legacy Cast show, and the World Class shows. That's on Patreon. We'll talk about it there, though. War Games will be Shockmaster, Davey Boy Smith, Sting, Dustin Rhodes versus Harlem Heat, Vader, and Sid. That will be your War Games match. And again, we'll talk about the rest of the card either as we go or when we get there. Doc, any thoughts on the Fall Brawl segment, if any?
Here come all the rules. I fast forwarded by that. And then there's isn't there a package where they show
yeah, here it is.
All the blood. Yeah. Meh.
I mean, there's been some good War Games.
Yeah, absolutely. The one where everybody bled their ass off. Was it last year or the year before? That was a good one.
That was one of the, God, that War Games was so good.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the whole format anyway, but there are some good ones. I have never seen the one we're about to do, and I'm a little concerned about the quality of it.
You're thinking of the one with Dangerous Alliance. That was the one that was just, I mean, I think of the time we've done any of the War Game stuff, that was the best. I mean, it was so good. Arn's bloody. He's got all the guys have like blood on their trunks. There was also one moment where Arn's head is wedged in the between the rings. Yeah, they had some fun, man. But I hear you. All right, we'll keep moving. We got Charlie Norris, who's making his Saturday night debut, versus Fury from the Wrecking Crew. Yes, I said Fury from the Wrecking Crew. Doc, I have a timestamp at 22:30, some commentary from Jesse, but before I go there, I want to ask if you got anything first.
So, let's go ahead and play your audio, and then we'll come back to my thoughts.
All right. So let's go to the audio now. This is Jesse on commentary during this match.
Arm drag takes him back down once again. Being very basic, but very successful so far.
Yes, showing a good sign of the basic wrestling moves does Charlie Norris from the Red Lake Reservation up in Minnesota. They're all rich now up there, you know, Tony.
Why's that, Jess?
Oh, they got about 10 or 12 casinos in Minnesota.
Do they really?
They're rolling in the money. This kid will be able to retire, won't even have to finish his wrestling career if he don't want to.
Into the corner now.
It's gamblers like you that they suck in up there and strip them clean, all their dough.
Well, he moved out of the way. Arm drag takes him down one more time. And Charlie Norris being very...
It just perked my ears up because Tony wants no part of whatever Jesse's trying to introduce to him at that point. Your thoughts, if any?
Yeah. No, I caught that too the first time through, and Jesse's up there in Minnesota, so he's seeing it firsthand. Charlie Norris is a fairly big guy, but does nothing that I give a shit about, and I don't feel like he's super committed to the gimmick. Like, I think he does his first people's dances sort of half-ass, and the crowd is dead, and the Wrecking Crew is the mod squad of the Master Blasters, and nobody gives a shit about them. This felt like a terrible way to bring in a new guy if we give a shit about him, and I don't.
Yeah. So I'll go on that note. Nothing about him intrigued me at this point. I remember him back in the day, and all I'll say is he hits the Wrecking Crew guy Fury with a double chop to the chest, and he pins him, and that was that.
Crowd did not get into it either.
They did not care. From there, Doc, we go to, they show a quick replay of Cactus. So if you weren't there for the Clash and listened to it on Patreon at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT, you would know that at the end of the night, Cactus came back and attacked Vader. Well, what we didn't see that night was Cactus cutting a promo after the Clash. So I'm going to go to this audio right now. Doc, do you have anything you want to mention before I go to this, or would you like to just let me hit play?
No, he's not. Cactus isn't going to say anything groundbreaking here, but he's good and solid and resets everything.
So here it is.
The more shocking things about Clash of the Champions that happened this past Wednesday was the appearance of Cactus Jack. We had a chance to talk to Cactus Jack, and here's what he had to say. The last time we saw you, Cactus Jack, you didn't have a memory. You didn't know who you were, and now you're back at WCW.
Tony Schiavone, Cactus Jack is back, baby! And he's back for one simple reason. The look. The look. You see, Van Vader, you hold on to the World Heavyweight Championship, the most important belt this sport has ever known. But that's not the most important thing you've ever done. Harley Race, you held on to that belt 7 times. That's not the most important thing you've ever done. You see, Van Vader, You did what they all said could not be done. You put Cactus Jack out of wrestling. Let's stop 1 second and think about that statement. You put Cactus Jack out of wrestling. For the past 4 months, not one moment's gone by that I haven't thought about the look. The look in the eyes of young, upcoming wrestlers when they realize they're signing on the dotted line with Big Van Vader. And I know that look because it's a look that used to be reserved for Cactus Jack. You think I miss it? You think I'm a little bit jealous? Well, maybe you're right. But Van Vader, if you think I hopped off a hospital bed and off the streets of Cleveland to see that look in your eyes, well, you're selling Cactus Jack very short. I'll see that look again, Van Vader. But that look will be in your eyes. And this time, instead of no pain, you'll look up at Cactus Jack and say, please, no more pain. Bang, bang!
All right, Doc. Your thoughts on Cactus right there, resetting things.
So he said not a day has gone by that I haven't thought about that. But we saw him not know who he was. Just saying. I thought that went a little long because it's his return. And this may be another symptom of why the Kongs match got cut is they were already mistiming their show because we didn't see this at the Clash.
Okay, so when he says, here's what I think you're missing from when he says not a day goes by that I haven't thought about it. The whole thing was amnesia. That was all an act.
Right, he should have made a boat joke somewhere in there.
A what joke?
A boat, like an ocean joke.
Why?
Just slip it in.
Okay. But that was the reason why. So I don't think the amnesia thing was really good, but
you're not saying it right. It's amnesia.
Okay. But how can I miss you if you never go away? And it wasn't a bad thing that he went away for a while?
No.
To come back because if you were watching it for the first time, you did not expect Cactus to attack Vader at the end of that. That was a complete, oh my God, he's back.
Oh my God.
And if you're, nobody, I don't say nobody, but if you're not one of the smart fans back then, you're just watching it. All you know is Cactus went away. They did all these stupid videos, or maybe you didn't think they were stupid. You did all these videos of him, them searching for him in Cleveland. And then they found him, but he didn't remember who he was. And then it seemed like, okay, the case is cold and dead. Oh, well, we're never going to get Cactus again. He's lost his mind. But no, we got him. And he's here. He's back. And he attacked Vader. Yes. So I actually, I guess it was okay. Now that I think about it, but let me say the fact that he's back was good.
Okay.
Obviously is good. Anything else, Doc, before we continue?
No, sir.
We continue with Johnny B. Bad versus Mike Thor. Johnny promised at the Clash to take the mask off tonight. He beat Max Payne at the Clash in a guitar versus mask match.
Yeah.
Oh,
Norma
boy.
Jane, dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on this match, if any?
Can you give me 30-53?
Am I looking for audio or something or what?
No. Look at this kid. Pause on this kid. Right there. What the fuck's in his ear?
He probably, back in the day, you get like an ear infection. And
then you don't need to be out in public if you're sick. Stay home.
Okay, I don't think an ear infection is contagious, but Mr. PhD over there. But I think he had an ear infection, and he had like some medicine.
I thought he was toothing at first. I thought he had his AirPods in.
No.
Oh,
ear infections were like kids back then would get swimmer's ear all the time.
Man, I had an ear infection my entire youth.
Me too. Every summer I'd get them.
You know what? Our parents sucked because when Latrell was little, he got them all the time. We had him go put some tubes in his ears. That kid was fine ever since.
Yeah, I got them all the time when I was a kid.
But our ratchet ass families were so poor and destitute. We couldn't get quality medical care.
Yeah, I think the kid got like an ear infection, and that's just the cotton in his ear.
Okay. I thought he was like making some deals on his Bluetooth.
Everybody I know that grew up in the generation with me, like that, like actually went swimming back in the day. It just makes you wonder, what the piss were we swimming in? Because everybody I know, like that I grew up with, everybody, we would all get ear infections like every summer. It never failed.
Bacteria and urine and just filth.
There's not anybody I know that I grew up with that, unless they didn't go swimming, unless they just never got in a pool, that did not suffer with that.
What aren't they telling us, Mike?
Right.
What did they let us swim in?
Now,
this is part of the conspiracy.
I guarantee you, we're going to ask Harper about that one of these days. Like, dude, you remember getting ear infections? Bro, I never got them. Oh, okay. You definitely are Spider-Man.
Me. Either that or you get, bruh, my ears were a fucking cesspool.
Bruh, you ain't lying. That's the one he uses.
So, 3104.
Okay, what do we, audio or what?
Little dick dance in here.
Yeah.
He's not very good at it.
Hold on. Look at Gary Michael Capetta to our right, to the right. Look at him. Look at him. Watch. He's bobbing his head.
He's digging it.
Anything else?
No, he was like, look at that dick dancing. All right, get us to the match, please. Get control.
Well, there's not really much to talk about. Johnny is going to win the match. He what does he do? He throws the left hook. That's right. He throws the left hook, knocks out Thor, and he takes the mask off. And he actually takes the mask off before he throws the left hook, showing his face that nothing's wrong with it. You know why they couldn't have him take the mask off to show how he looked at the Clash, right?
Why?
Because this was taped before. So if he would have came out at the Clash with no mask, it'd have been like, well, why are we doing mask versus guitar? All right. I got nothing else. Johnny's face is fine. The glitter gun or glitter cannon did not do anything to his face.
Is this the most anticlimactic, uneventful unmasking in the history of wrestling?
Pitiful. It's pathetic. And it's not pathetic because of Johnny B. Bad. Let me be clear. It just had there was no payoff. All right.
None.
We go to a quick promo from Johnny B. Bad after. I'm not going to play it. Jesse talks to him at ringside, and Johnny claims he's still the prettiest man in WCW, and he says he is a man of his word as he took his mask off. It was very much meat and potatoes, and I really got nothing else from it. What about you, Doc?
No, I didn't either. He's a bad man.
I'm a bad man. All right. From there, we go to the next match. It is the Ice Train, who's got Thunderbolt Patterson with him. One eye looking one way, the other eye looking the other.
Whoa. What are you doing?
I'm just messing with Ducky Bozard out there. Versus this time Rage from the Wrecking Crew. So we get a Rage and Fury appearance, and they're out there basically doing the job for people, which tells you where they are on the totem pole these days and in the pecking order.
They're at the Zinc Gun tier of the card.
Yeah, pretty much. Train gets a nice reaction from all the kids. They really do love him, and I'm a big Ice Train fan. This match is extremely quick. He was just
Why are
big,
you a big
powerhouse.
Ice Train fan? Nobody's a big Ice Train fan.
Well, when they put him and Scott Norton together, because you're trying to be funny over there, man, I used to like that tag team Fire and Ice.
Okay.
But anyway, this is quick. Doc, thoughts? I mean, it's less than a minute.
Well, they get him over better than they got Charlie Norris for sure. That chewing thing gets old pretty quick though.
Well, he does a lot of chewing. Choo.
Yeah.
It's better than listening to Thunderbolt though.
And we got a lot of brothers in the promotion. Is this a response to
Stop.
What?
Ice Train is going to win very quickly with a power slam. Any thoughts, Doc?
I don't know if I can have any. You told me to stop.
Because I knew where you were going. You were trying to trigger people.
I'm not trying to trigger people. That's what corporations do. They overreact to things that happen so that it's visible and obvious that they're not what they were just claimed to be.
Okay.
So I just could see it, a corporate suit saying something like, we could really use some more people of color on the show.
It's 1993.
Image.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but corporate people have always been corporate people, dude.
Okay. Any
Argue
thoughts?
that. Argue it.
No, I'm doing a wrestling show. I'm not trying to assess the makeup of the talent at this point.
I didn't say anything about them wearing makeup. I said their skin color.
Got any thoughts on Ice Train power slam and Rage for the win?
I do. Choo choo.
All right. You stupid. Let's go now to Ice Train and Thunderbolt Patterson. It might be a choo choo in here.
This may be the best promo that Thunderbolt ever cut because he actually says something of content.
We said that when Train made his debut. So let me point that out. Here's the promo.
The man is here in WCW. The youngsters already want to get an autograph from Ice Train. Thunderbolt, what a find for this big man.
Well, I told you a long time ago that he was coming. WCW has given him the opportunity. Now, what I want you to do is to tell all of those wrestlers and all of those managers, just sign like, Train, did you tell me that you want to learn? I told you, Mr. Bolt, that I want to learn, and I want to work my way up to the WCW top of the ladder. And all I want to say is, choo choo! Like this. So, sign the line. Any other wrestler, anybody. It's a whole new day, and WCW says, come on.
The Train is here in WCW, and we'll be back, fans. Stay with us.
He still don't know how to close. He still don't know how to close a promo.
No, but it's his shortest promo ever, and it's a new day.
Yeah, it's the second time or third time he said that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
All right. I thought it was good.
What will end first in real life? The New Day gimmick or this show?
Probably a New Day gimmick, but the New Day gimmick has changed lately.
I know. They turned heel.
You didn't say end. You said what would.
I did.
Well,
they end. They flipped. They changed their attitude now. They're not with the fans anymore.
So I guess that you have your answer then, because they're still New Day, but it's definitely different.
But it's New Day, bro.
We go.
We've noticed this is that old titter. We've noticed a new attitude from the New Day, where they don't care as much about hearing the cheers of the fans. That certainly a different approach they're taking in the ring, and we're going to keep an eye on that because certainly the fans in the area are disappointed by the recent actions of Kofi and Xavier.
That's an understatement. We will continue though. We got the WCW World Champion Big Van Vader with Harley Race versus JD Stryker. Vader comes to the ring going nuts. He's throwing chairs. He's throwing barricades. And again, this was taped before the Clash, but he's angry because of what happened with Cactus at the end of the Clash, but it was taped before. But he's throwing a fit and going nuts. He's just being Vader. But it makes a lot more sense to us now that he's as angry as he is. Maybe not the fans that were there seeing this before the Clash. Anyway, Vader wins quickly, Doc, but let me get your thoughts on the match.
That fool enhancement talent watched him do all that shit on the way to the ring and still charged Vader before the bell at the bell.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, does it, when you see that?
No, I'd be running the other way.
Because like Harper always says, like, he's like, you know you're in there and you know you're just about to get the crap beat out of you. Why wouldn't you just run?
I am out of here, y'all.
Right. I'm peace out. I'm not doing this.
I done changed my mind about this wrestling thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's go now to Vader and Harley Race. They're cutting a promo after the match with Tony Schiavone. Doc, you got any thoughts on this before I hit play?
Nah.
All right, here it is.
Later on in this program, I know you have a lot to say about that match.
Let me tell you this, Mr. Giovanni. I don't care what happens to Sting and Flair. I hope they beat one another to death. But Flair, you remember, I'll never forget what happened. Now let's get back to what we're here to talk about. War Games. This is the man that rules the valley. He's the king. He's the world heavyweight champion. When you bring him, Sid Vicious, and the Harlem into the ring, and they lower that cage over the top. You tell him, big man, where it goes there. You're looking at the man, the king of the world, the one and only heavyweight champion of the world. Oh yeah, that's me. You're looking at him. And when the cage comes down on War Games, Steve Davey Boy, Dustin Rhodes, and the mystery partner, you ain't got a chance, because it will be time to go to war.
Big Van Vader is ready for war, and we're ready for a main event right after this.
All right, so it's meat and potatoes, Doc, but it's just setting up things with War Games and whatnot. So anyway, your thoughts?
Seemed a little all over the place and disjointed, but it's all right.
The crazy part about it is this is taped before the Clash and stuff, and these people that are sitting in it right now, they haven't even seen Chris Cruz's like War Games or ad at this point. You know what I mean? It's, I'll give them credit the way they would piece this stuff together, just to lay it out the way they did. I mean, I can see them in the back with a flow chart trying to make sure they get it all right, because I don't know how to do it. All right, well, then we go to the main event. You heard it right there. Tony Schiavone said, let's go to it now. The NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair, is taking on Sting. So, Doc, just imagine you go to center stage as a freebie because it's free, and you get to see Sting versus Flair in the main event. And they start this episode without the commercials in it, at about the 47. They start this thing at about the 47-minute mark. And we still got about another 45 minutes to go of TV time. They gave them time to get their stuff in. Like, we didn't roll out, we've seen it too many times. How many times we've seen them roll out talent, like big stars, and they got like 4 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go. That's not what they did here. They gave them time. So anyway, I wanted to say that before we get into it. Your thoughts? I got a bunch of notes, but throw to you for anything you got.
It's really interesting here that, once again, as we say it, and maybe this is the most prototypical example that we could provide, that with all the goofy horseshit going on, and boy, there's goofy horseshit.
Shockmaster.
These two got in there and put on a straight up wrestling classic with no, for the most part, till the end, we'll get there, with just, this is old school wrestling. Slow start, slow build. They're feeling each other out. Really, really like the psychology of they're kind of friends, but over time, Rick's going to be like, look, I got to do what I got to do here. And I also like the psychology of Sting. I'm not going to fall into a trap. I got to be careful with, even if we're buddies, kind of, I got to be a little bit careful here. This still is the Nature Boy. So I'll stop there just to say this is we can't say it's the biggest ever. We did have one of those Christmas Eve or something where we had Ron Garvin and Flair tear it down. But this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And they rise, not surprisingly with these two, they rise to the occasion and they get the fuck after it.
Yeah, you said it. They work slow. They start off kind of slow. They're trying to tell a nice story because they're both, baby faces at this point, and they just want to feel each other out. No cheap shots. Flair did all of his bumps that he normally does. The flip off the top rope, the flip over the corner turnbuckle where he takes a bump on the apron and then the floor. I mean, Flair selling his tail off for Sting as you would expect because that's what he does. I mean, this was, I don't want to say it was like the first clash that they had, but man, I mean, they did their thing. Now, you even made the point, tempers flared up, no pun intended, as we got deeper into this where it turned into them punching and chopping each other. And the crowd, though, as they did that, was very much behind Sting. There were plenty of "Let's Go Sting" chants in this thing. It was a really...
Yeah, but did you hear the part where they were yelling, "Let's go Sting," and then "Let's go Flair"?
Yeah, I just thought that, good point. I just thought the Sting ones kind of overpowered it at one point because there was a lot of "Let's go." In addition to that, there was a lot of "Let's go Sting" chants. But, you're free being center stage watching this match is just incredible.
Pay-per-view classic quality.
Yeah, they just got in there and they had one of those old school wrestling matches that we used to love. This was the type of match that if they're in South Carolina or in one of these old Crockett buildings in towns, if they would have, the people were loud, but if they would have had this match in one of them old school Crockett towns with 1,500 people in some little auditorium, it would have been smoke-filled auditorium. It would have been balls to the wall. The people would have been into it and coming unglued. Not knocking the center stage crowd, but you get my point. That's the type of match they had here.
I did think it was funny as the match went on because my first note was something's not correct. When babyface Rick tries to pile drive Sting outside the ring. I did notice that Rick's chops work a lot better when he's a babyface. Sting will sell them. Yeah.
Versus when he kind of no-sells them and whoa, does a ow. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. 103.53.
103.53. Do I need audio or what? What do we?
No. This is a good-looking move. That looked good.
Hold
that
on.
looked
Let me
dangerous.
go back a little. Yeah, Flair's getting in the ring. He's chasing Sting. Here it comes. Yeah, Sting goes a dive for Flair. Flair moves, and Sting basically gives himself a hot shot.
Yeah.
You got any?
They go back and forth.
Oh yeah, there was the back and forth was the thing that got me. It was like they're back and forth. Flair's bumping and selling his ass off. Sting's doing the same. This is a clinic, man.
108.35.
Audio or no?
No, and I'm not sure what we're doing. It's something in the crowd.
Okay, let me get ready to pause it then. I'm glad you said in the crowd, so it sounds like I need to pause something because they're just in the ring circling each other. Flair does a belly to back. And let's see.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you do that? It's just a mother sitting next to her two children, I think.
Yeah, but what's the mother wearing, Mike?
I don't even know what you call that. Her stomach's out. She's got shorts on.
She's not really wearing a support up top either.
She's got support on. They're just moving. What do you want me to say?
What do you mean by they?
The
breasticles?
I'm not going there. They're just moving.
It's just a body part, Mike. Why can't you say it?
Know who brought this up? Not me. Oh, you know what I was trying to think of was the biological term for them.
Mammary glands?
Yeah.
At one point, a whoop, there it is chant gets going, but they show a white girl in the crowd, and she's saying hoot, there it is.
Dude, they wear the whoop, there it is out during this era. It's only starting here. It is going to go on for quite a while, and it wears me out. I had really forgotten how big of a thing that was during this time period. It was. I remember, I think I told you this. I remember going to Saints games, and during this era, like the defense was really good. And every time there was a big tackle or, a third down stop because back then a third down stop when a team was punting was damn near like a score because, the offense wasn't like it is now. I'm talking about throughout the league. The fans, 60, 70,000 people would chant, whoop, there it is. And I'm like, gee, like it was so ridiculous. It was utterly ridiculous during this era. Anyway, all right. There was a chop right there with Flair.
At some point, I started thinking, why are we doing this on free TV? We need to bottle this up and sell it.
It's amazing. I don't blame. Look, I'm not going to complain because there's a lot of times when we complain about some of the stuff they roll out in main events and how dumb it is or short it is and just makes no sense. So I'll never complain when we get this periodically. It was great. I think this is nothing but a positive. The one thing I did, now that I'm older, if I'm watching it in 1993, I'm thinking. Not as somebody who knows any better. I'm like, man.
If I'm watching it in 1993, I'm thinking Yahtzee. I just saw a Mac classic.
Well, where I was going is I would be thinking in 93, man, I wonder if they'll switch the title. Nowadays, there's no way I would think that. But in my mind, I was going, okay, so I know they're not going to do a clean finish. And of course, that's what happens. We're not going to get a clean finish. But I still can just suspend my belief and just go with it because, I mean, dude, when they first come out, they're bone dry, so to say. Dude, they get going in this thing. They are working up a sweat. This was not short at all. There's the bump with Flair.
Was it 38, 40 minutes here that they went? And once they got into it, another testament to Flair's certainly Sting as the physical attributes. Flair as a cardio machine is just amazing.
Go ahead. Go. No. You go. Finish up.
Please. I'm going to take it somewhere else. So please continue.
No, I was gonna ask you if you had anything else, and if not, I was gonna go to Sid on commentary.
That's where I was going. Is so now we have the issue that I have with all of this. We get Sid out there, and the first thing I'm going to say is. On commentary. Okay, so we said earlier, he's over. We're not arguing that part. There's nothing to argue there. But if we're doing this match to show the world who we are, this is, the name on the marquee still says wrestling. Our two flagship guys are out there. They work well together, and they're putting on a hell of a match. And the knock on us is, internally and I guess externally, is that we're too Southern. Let's send our Little Rock, Arkansas's finest, Sid Vicious, out there to sound hillbilly over the top of it.
I don't have the same belief as you on that. That didn't bother me.
You're wrong. Here's the thing. You can send him out to do what he eventually does, but having him talk over the match when he's not good at it doesn't help anything. You could have sent him out towards the end and have Jesse and Tony go, what's he doing out here? Have him yell at them, this should be me, and that's enough. But instead, you get him talking over this thing for a while and complaining, and I'm like,
my bad. I rewound it and
just
had
to me, it took away from all of the greatness that we were seeing from my buddy Sting.
Yeah. Okay. We're on a different page then.
Okay. So you like having Sid out there on commentary?
I didn't say that. I'm just not saying.
Okay.
I'm just not going there with you, making it sound like he turned it into a hillbilly production.
Well, he wasn't good, and then the hillbilly stuff doesn't help.
All right. Well, let's go to the audio of it now and let the people hear what we're talking about. Here it is.
Sid Vicious has arrived, and he is at our broadcast location, and he is watching the match. And I said many great athletes are in the back watching this match. And Sid Vicious, this is a classic.
This is a classic, Tony Schiavone. I'm going to tell you something. Everybody in the wrestling world today is watching this. That's why I'm out here. But I have one question. Why I am not the guy in the ring right now. I should be out there. Not Sting. I should be out there going for the world title. See what we have here, Jesse Ventura, is a good example. There's 3 types of bees in this world. There's one that's called a honeybee, right? The other example is Sting, a wannabe. And your third example is Ric Flair, a used to be.
That from Sid Vicious. And
That's 3 B's for you,
Tell
Tony.
you something I find this funny, too. The world champion
big chop.
is out here. You get the world champion, right? He's collecting Social Security. Is that part of being the world champion?
He's not a big chop. And Flair, the great champion he is, they're going
Both great athletes. Both great athletes in their own right.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm missing the point. He called Sting a wannabe and Flair whatever be. He's saying Flair should be collecting SSI. What is the problem here? I'm not finding a problem with the commentary.
Okay, I do. I don't think you should be out there burying the guys in this match.
He's a heel.
So he's
Okay.
not needed here. The match speaks for itself.
Did Dave Meltzer just invade your body in the last 5 minutes?
I don't know what that means.
You're talking like he does. Psychoanalyzing shit that don't need to be psychoanalyzed, and then you're letting that distract you from this match, which it shouldn't.
Because to me, it was a distracting intrusion.
All right. Well, we'll agree to disagree. How
It
about
does
that?
not take away it. I fought through it because I'm the people's champion, but it wasn't needed here.
Okay, Dwayne. All right. Any
I
other
want your
thoughts?
soul.
We're working to the finish here. Any thoughts?
Again,
Because I'll go to the finish if not.
Here's what I would love to know. I would love to know how much, like after the match, their conversation about this, like how much more comfortable Sting was going 38 minutes here with Rick than he was back at that first clash. You know, I would love to sit down with Rick right after this match and go, how was Sting different now than he was the first time you faced him at that clash? And my sense is the match that we just saw was no worse than that match that we saw at that clash that gets all the praise.
Well, it was different the way they did the finish, obviously.
It was different and it was unexpected. So the presentation of it was better. But I'm be interested in like the mechanics in the ring. How easy was it to get it across? Because Sting's been in the business a few years and is better than he was when they first did that. He's not a rookie anymore. I mean, think about matches you had in your first year versus matches 5 years later.
Well, yeah, things slow down for you.
Right. That's what I mean.
But but your original question
Like,
was,
I wonder how much of the load, like Rick's calling it. I get that. Like, of course, But how much was the load easier on Rick tonight than it was 5 years ago? My answer would be, and it would have to be, but just interested in those kinds of things.
I 100%.
I care about the sport, Mike.
Okay, now you're just trying
I don't know
to be
if that's
stupid.
coming through in my voice or not.
I think Sting was much more comfortable, obviously. As to how Rick felt, that's a question for him when he's not been drinking.
Well, we can't get him to. Does he talk in his sleep?
The finish, I actually didn't mind the finish because of the way Rick reacts. And what I mean by that is both guys take a big bump over the top rope. Flair is able to get back into the ring before the 10 count. Sting is on the outside, but Sting is stopped from getting back in the ring by Sid Vicious. And that means Sting is counted out. Watch Flair when Sting is counted out. Look at Flair react. He's like, no, I don't want to win like that. No. Look, see how he's like, no, he interfered. I do not want to win like that. So anyway, Flair is mad that it goes down like this. Harlem Heat's going to hit the ring. Flair fights them off. Sid gets in the ring. He's then trying to fight him off, but Sting then comes in to help. Flair and Sting end up clearing the ring. I think Flair's reaction to, I don't want to win like this, which is very noble of him in his career when you think about the heel that he was. Flair saying, I don't want to win like this, to me, made it make more sense than it might have had if you just saw there was a count out. Your thoughts on the finish?
Yeah. It is certainly a challenge to get out of here in a way that doesn't undo what we just saw. Right. So I'm good with everything we saw. I thought the Sid pulling Sting out was an homage to the 92 Rumble where Hogan held on to Sid so that Flair could. I'm kidding. It's not. Just the wrestling purist in me wishes that it would have just been a clean or not a clean, but that Flair gets the pin and maybe cheats a little bit with the feet on the ropes to do it. They're not interested in pinning Sting on free TV. I get that. And I understand why they did what they did. And I don't have a problem with it. I think for what you're trying to achieve, that was a pretty good way to do it. I'm pulling nits on this thing because I enjoyed the shit out of it, and it was pretty fucking great. And I got to tell you, it's exactly what I wanted to see after watching that clash and being like, what the shit are we doing? These guys were a palate cleanser for that shit.
Yeah.
and you got Harlem Heat in the main, some big dudes, new guys injected up into the elevated there by being in the ring with them. They're in War Games, so they need to be viewed that way. I didn't have a problem with it either. So here's the thing. I didn't have a problem with Sid being out there. I didn't like the way they used him out there. Him interfering at the end, I didn't mind at all. Because he's over and has a legitimate complaint. I just didn't have listening to him talk about it for as long as he did. Having the damn biology lesson about bees and shit. Okay. Sound like Harper was out there with his nature show.
Well, now that we got Doc's opinion of the finish, let's now go to Sting and Flair, who are with Tony Schiavone after the match. They are going to get interviewed about what just went down. Here that is.
We are back for our last word here on WCW Saturday Night, and this was a classic, ladies and gentlemen, between the Nature Boy Ric Flair, still the NWA champion, and Sting, and you gave it your all, falling short, I know, and Sid Vicious from Harlem Heat getting involved right there at the end.
Well, it's obvious the Nature Boy is still all night long. That's right, the Nature Boy is 60 minutes all night long. Took the Stinger to the limit. One more time. Only thing is, Sid, you took a little piece of my heart. You took a little piece of the gold, and I mean the NWA title that I might have had. Sid Vicious, You bring Harlem Heat, you bring your buddies, I don't care who you bring, because the simple fact of the matter is, Punk! I beat up punks, and you're one of the biggest punks around.
You know, if you got the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills playing for the Super Bowl, you don't want any punk fans running out in the field in the middle of the game. And you know what? Sting hit it right, Vicious. You and the Harlem Heat are 3 punks. Next week, right here, head up. Woo!
All right, the challenge has been made to Sid Vicious and Harlem Heat from Ric Flair and Sting, and what a classic.
It was a classic, Tony. I just wish we wouldn't have got the interference and we wouldn't have run out of time.
And we are out of time. See you next week on Saturday Night.
Why'd we run out of time?
Boy, Jesse, well, I think he misspoke there because we didn't run out of time. We had to count out. Jesse spoke for all of us right there. I wish we'd have, got an actual finish.
Here's my question. When you talk about all-time greats, Horner used to have 3-minute matches and couldn't talk because he was blown up so bad in Smoky Mountain. Flair just went 38 minutes and got up there and spoke and was barely out of breath in his early 40s.
Both of them did. Sting did too. I see what you're saying. Flair's in his early 40s doing it. Yeah. Dude, I don't. You got to give Flair for everything he is. We've talked about this a million times. Just you got to give him credit. He could just go like the person he was. He could just get in there and go. Meanwhile, you got a guy like Tim Horner who's a really good professional wrestler, but we'd see him in 5-6 minute matches, and he goes to give a promo after the match, and he's like sucking air, like he's about to pass out. I mean, he's like,
so there were nitpicks there, but that was tremendous. That was exactly what we needed to see after the Clash. It was just hard to oversell how great that match was and how good those guys were.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Well, you know what we do now. On that note, we need to rate it.
We hit the tagline. We hit the tagline and get to go.
We need to rate it, hand out the Toot Toot or the Rolex Award, whichever you want to call it now. Before we do so, remember the only way to listen to our review of The Clash is by going to tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. That is tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. The only place you can get not only that Clash, but all 24 of them that we've done, all the WCW pay-per-views we've done, dating back to 85, the JV Goon Squad shows, the World Class shows with Lance and myself, Patreon, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. All right, Doc, you go first. What are you going to rate it?
I feel like I like wrestling. A+. All
right. Yeah, I don't know how you don't give a show with Sting and Flair doing it. I mean, you could just throw out whatever else they did. Not that it was horrible, but Sting and Flair close out a show and work half the show. So I'm giving A+ as well, which leaves us to the Rolex and the Toot Toot. Who are you giving that to?
I mean, I don't like to give it to more than one person, but if we're going to be fair and we're going to call it down the middle, and that really does supersede everything else that we do, I think you're going to give it to both Rick and Sting here. And so for all the people, and Sting and shit, they deserve it, man. They did it tonight.
Yeah, Sting and Flair get it. I'm an advocate of when more than one person deserves it, you give it to them, especially if they're involved in the same exact segment. I don't like giving out to one, one guy does something at the end, somebody does something in the middle. No. But if you're going to do something where you give it out to two people, this is definitely that type of night because those guys had a hell of a match.
And they did it on free TV too.
Free TV.
Those are good employees right there.
Yeah, buddy, they are committed.
Because Fuller's in the back going, y'all are doing more work than this job requires. Can't y'all give them like 9 minutes with the shit finish?
They are a team, and we know how Harper feels about teams when it comes to workplace and doing a team building when it's not in the middle of the workday. Anyway, I clipped that and put that on YouTube too. That had to go there. Oh my God, that was phenomenal. All right, Doc. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this week. Just about. Make sure if you are listening to this episode when I post it on social media, whether it's Facebook, X, Twitter, BlueSky, whatever platform it is, make sure you share it, retweet it, repost it, whatever they're calling it now. It is greatly appreciated. It helps the show grow organically. Don't forget to post your comments on YouTube. Appreciate that as well. But again, make sure you share it and repost it and retweet it. And don't forget to become a patron again. tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. It supports everything we do on this show. On that note, Doc Harper's not here. You know how we do it. Why don't you hit the tagline? Let's roll.
Book it, bitch.
This is AI Eric Bischoff. No, I am not the real Bischoff. So don't work yourself into a shoot like these useful idiots in the wrestling media field. With that said, congratulations on making it to the end of this week's show. Don't forget to send your comments about what the guys discussed tonight to Luke Hawks on Facebook and on Twitter or X or whatever the piss they call it now. The rumor is Luke likes answering BTT fan mail. Also do the guys a solid by liking the show's Facebook, X, and Instagram pages. And don't forget to like and retweet or repost the show on all social media platforms. Lastly, become a BTT patron member where you get tons of extra shows. You can join at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Until next week, piss off dipshits. How the piss do you people listen to these useful idiots? These dipshits think they're fucking funny, but they ain't fucking funny. And somebody needs to tell them that. This goddamn show needs more D-Man and less of dipshit, Doc, Hardboiled Harper, and this Vanilla Ice Snoop Dogg, Mumble, Mouth, Mills. You have to be an imbecile to find these three fuckers entertaining. Fucking clown show.